Welcome, I'm glad you came. You know, when I first got this assignment, what I had was the title of the show, the date, and not much more than that. Book of Airs. So I thought, oh, this is going to be a vocal tribute to the great jazz vibraphonist Roy Ayers. That'll be a good show. No, it's not about Roy. Airs actually turns out to be an ancient English word meaning song, and there was a book of airs published in the late 16th century by an Englishman named John Dowland. So we'll get into a little bit of that as well. And an air, as I have come to understand, was basically a solo song meant to be accompanied by a lute player. Well, we have a lute player here tonight. So get ready for some really old music. But we also have jazz and classical players and a vocalist who grew up in Miami listening to the Backstreet Boys, Pearl Jam, Mariah Carey, and then she heard Kate Bush and the Icelandic artist Björk and decided to study classical and Baroque. That's what you would do, right? After you heard Björk. And she has a new album that comes out in September, and there's a single out, so maybe we'll get to hear some of that. And why not? Because this is a SummerFest, and this event is a part of our Synergy initiative, which is co-produced by our musical director, Inon Barnatan, and Clara Wu Tsai. And this is where we disrupt disciplines, time travel across centuries, jump musical boundaries, and mix things up in search of the unexpected. So let's meet some of the artists who are going to take us on this journey tonight. She is a flutist, singer, and broadcaster known for crossing classical, Baroque, and contemporary styles. Please welcome Emmy Ferguson. He is a specialist in early pluck strings, bringing centuries-old music to modern ears. Please welcome Dušan Balarin. And our headliner, a vocalist, composer, excavator of forgotten songs and languages, winner of the MacArthur Genius Grant, and 3 Grammys for Jazz Vocal Album of the Year, Cécile McLorin Salvant. Okay, so here's the first question, and I think I know the answer. Who's the instigator here?
Well, I think it's me, yeah. Yeah.
It would be you. So, how did you come to put this program together?
I think it started because I always wanted to sing some of these Baroque songs that I loved to sing when I was in school in Aix-en-Provence in the southeast of France. And I sang one air de cour, which is a courtly song, I guess is how I'm going to translate it, on an album maybe a few years ago with Sullivan Fortner playing synths. And at the same time, I was taking lute lessons with a man named Daniel Swenberg. So I was kind of dipping my toe back into this music that I had studied a little bit in conservatory. And then what happened? I think yes, this is what happened. I got a commission for a show in New York, and I didn't know what to do really. And I thought, oh, this would be the perfect opportunity to try to do some more of these songs. And who better to invite than my second lute teacher, Dušan Balarin, and Emmy Ferguson, who I've known for a decade, I would say. Just have, from far, was a huge fan, and this felt like a great opportunity to rope her in. And the percussionist, Keita Ogawa, is somebody I've been playing with for years as well on my other projects. Yasushi Nakamura, bass player extraordinaire. Maybe I've known him for 15 years. And Sullivan Fortner is perhaps the musician I play with the most. He's the keyboardist. So it just felt like a fun opportunity to do that one time. And then it was so fun that I thought we should do it again. And then we recorded it. And now we're doing it here. And I hope we do it many, many more times and add many more songs to the repertoire. And yeah, it's exciting.
So this is the third time that you're all doing this live in front of audience.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
how's it coming together, Emmy?
Well, the beautiful thing about this group of musicians that Cécile's rounded up is that everybody brings so much, and in performance, they bring their whole selves, and it's this incredible experience of like feeling incredibly alive in an extraordinary way, and also like, oh, I gotta keep myself, right in line here, in just the most wonderful way. So it's always really exciting, and the beautiful thing also is that we're all able to react to each other in real time and make decisions in real time, and share that experience. So it's always a real joy.
So Dušan, you're playing the lute tonight. You're also playing an instrument that I'm not familiar with called the theorbo. I couldn't wait to see it, and you showed it to me. Would you show it to everyone here?
Yeah, of course. Let me grab it.
It's always the best show and tell. Yeah.
I'll follow you with a microphone here. It's over here on the floor.
I can come here close to the light. So this is the theorbo. It is a type of lute. It's the same family of instruments. What is the coolest part of this instrument is always, to me, the back. And it was such a striking feature that sometimes they would call it, in Germany, mixed with Latin, the testudo, testudinis, which is the shell of the turtle. So it had some kind of magical juju even back then. And the theorbo gets invented. So we're going to do music of Dowland, who is like the peak of the Renaissance, and he worked at the court of Elizabeth II. He didn't get appointed, and he get really sour. He writes about it. He writes songs about it. And he's this amazing golden age of Renaissance songwriting, basically. The theorbo comes with the invention of something called opera. And so with the opera, they needed bigger lutes. They needed something that it was bass register so it could support the singer better. And this instrument doesn't have a high register, but what it does is it goes low. So I play it like it would be a harp mixed with a guitar-ish, different tuning, but you get the idea. So there were many types, but that's the gist of it.
Thank you. So now you're a lute player.
No. No, alas,
You studied
no.
lute.
I took a few lessons. I bought a lute. I ordered it from Paris, a beautiful lute that is now fully out of tune. I have not touched it in months. This is my teacher, so I'm saying this with a lot of shame. But yeah, I think I had some kind of idea. I had a vision of myself in a huge gown, in a huge, beautiful gown, holding a small lute and singing some beautiful, lovely songs. But that hasn't happened yet.
So this is used a lot, as I understand it, in Baroque music. And you studied Baroque singing. Am I right about that?
Yeah, I was. There was a sort of strange early music gathering once a month at the music school that I went to in France, and I really liked some of the arias that were considered Baroque, some of the early music arias, which they make young classical singers study first. And my teacher told me, "Oh, this suits your voice well. You should actually go go in the basement and see what the early music people are doing." And they had a bunch of weird instruments and temperaments and songs, and it was really, really exciting. So I got into it. There was a dance class. There was a Baroque dance class. Can you believe? With the harpsichordist accompanying us. It was amazing. yeah, so I got into it a little bit.
I have seen some of the recordings that you guys have done, and one of the things I notice about your flute playing is that you're kind of in the same register as her voice. Do you have to select a particular flute to play with her, or do you just modify your technique?
No, because of the music that we're playing tonight, that's sort of what helps me decide what instrument to play. But I think it's the same as any type of, present music making and live music making, where you are always understanding what your role is at any given time. And that's sort of a really important thing that I think all chamber musicians learn from an early age, is understanding where you stand. Sort of, are you in the front, the foreground? Are you in the background? When does that change in a song? So depending on sort of where the part that I'm playing lies, I might change octaves or the way that I'm playing the instrument, always understanding what purpose I'm serving in the mix.
So the other night here at SummerFest, somebody made a crack about some people think that classical music is playing music by dead white guys. And you are all fairly young, and you're playing some old music tonight. What is it about the old music that particularly attracts you? Dušan, maybe you start talking about that.
Yeah, actually, the lute is the instrument that has the largest amount of repertoire for itself. So I get to explore music all the way from the medieval period that was written for a kind of my instrument, all the way to the classical time, 18th century. And I think there's something about, not the music, of course, is absolutely an incredible pool. It's full of beauty, and there's so much room for improvisation. But to me, I think it's every set of composers that I get obsessed with. It's like a little window into the mind of a different person that thought in a context completely different than mine. And somehow it still moves me. And I think that is very special, that no matter how different the subject you are dealing with, there's always some kind of thread that connects with me at the level of my heart. It's quite moving, yeah.
So is it your intent to play these compositions as written kind of straight, or since you're jazz musicians, do you mess around with them?
I think not just the jazz musicians mess around. I think the Baroque musicians, the Renaissance musicians, the early music people have all sort of gone through the improvisation school and figured out how to mess around. I mean, that's what's really exciting about this, is that classical music is meant to have improvisation in it, and it's been rigidified in a similar way that jazz has been, I think, So it's nice to loosen it up, but the looseness and the improvisation in the play has always been there from the beginning.
And I would add to that like what we're doing today is very, very true to historical performance practice. It is a living performance practice. It's not that we are trying to teleport ourselves back and forget everything that we've known for the past 400 years, and every style of music that we grew up playing with, but we're looking at this in the same way that musicians of the time would be. They're trying to entertain themselves, entertain an audience, serve a purpose, and really make the music jump off of the page and into your hearts. That hasn't changed, and this program and what Cécile has created exemplifies that, I think, at the highest point. So this is very Baroque in its core, in its heart, and that's something I think everyone will really enjoy this evening.
So say more about this performance practice idea, the idea of you're not trying to recreate the experience of back then, but you're trying to take what was from back then and create something that's now. And how do you know?
Well, the beautiful thing is nobody knows. That's why Baroque music is so fun, because we can't properly know, 100% of how it might have been. But what we have are many documents. We have beautiful paintings. You might even see some great imagery tonight. But in most Baroque music, you have a melody line, whether that's a song, and you have a simple set of chord changes or a bass line with figures above it that invites the musicians on the stage or playing the music to bring themselves into it. And it's, I think, very similar to what, many jazz standards look like. And so there is this natural comfort level of everybody on stage. And with this group of 6 musicians, it's not like you're playing jazz or you're playing Baroque music. We're just playing music, and that's always like just the best.
So for somebody who's new to some of the things that you're going to play tonight, and that would be me for sure, because I don't know this music at all, is there an entry point, something I should listen to kind of hook into the song and get myself connected?
The voice.
The voice. And so I saw little twinges of reaction here. What's your advice? What should I listen to get pulled along, get connected and pulled along?
I think that what is amazing about this music, it's been called a lot of the times rhetorical music. And I think the idea behind that is that we all, like from the musician perspective, we all see the same music, but how we persuade the audience to feel a particular way is unique. And that's what Emmy was saying, that no matter what we do with collecting documents, at the end of the day, it is your energy, it is your perspective, your context in life that is going to bring this music out of the paper. So I think just like with jazz, you can latch on to what's happening between the other instruments and Cécile. We're all relating to her because she's the storyteller, but there's so much more that goes into it. Sometimes the lute will play with her. Sometimes the flute will imitate or comment little bird-like tweets, The bass line, you can hear the same bass line going on the theorbo, but like every time we repeat it, I'm going to be improvising a different way of harmonic, chords or arpeggios, or maybe I feel like playing runs. It's all kind of in the moment, and I don't, it's kind of the fun. So I think that spontaneity is what you should latch onto, and just, yeah.
So what kinds of stories are we going to hear tonight?
I'm thinking through them. It's a lot of lost love, love sickness, dying from not being loved,
It's all the good stuff, yeah.
desire, yearning. I think that's it. No, there might be one or two happy-go-lucky, let's celebrate good times. There's one celebrate good times song, I think, right? Celebrate good times. We have 2 of those, I think. There's going to be, it's mostly in English. There's going to be, well, I say this, who knows what'll happen, because the set might change. That does happen with me. But there's probably going to be an Italian song, and there's definitely going to be some French going on. But yeah, mostly around the topic of love, failed love.
Oh, that. One of the things I look back at, I think this is your 3rd time here at SummerFest. And the first time I looked at the program, and it mentioned you, and it mentioned what you were going to be doing, and it said simply, program to be announced from the stage. And then I did some investigating as to how you work. And you are dangerous because, according to what I hear, you'll learn a song backstage and then come out that night and play it.
Yes, that's happened. I'm working on it. I've been known to call a song. The bass player tonight, actually, Sushi Nakamura, I've been on tour with him and have said, oh, let's do this song called Monday. And he played it with me, but he didn't know. He fully was like, I don't know this song. You have put me on the spot. I've done that with Sullivan many times. I've been known to call songs that even I don't really know. Change the set list, change the keys, change the tempo of a song, start from the end and end with the beginning, only do the bridge. Like, a lot can happen, But with this program, I tend to try to be a little bit more tame, just a little bit more tame, and keep things, stick more or less with the set list and more or less with the format that we have for now. But that's only because we've done it 3 times. I think if we do it 20 times, it's going to be a free-for-all. Just, we know this.
All right. All right. Amy, are you relieved or terrified?
Oh, I love that. I'm like, bring it on.
That's great. You have a new album coming out, and I understand you've done some of it on your home computer using Apple GarageBand and some loops and some stuff that you found around, which is very different from anything that you've ever done. But you're kind of like that. Every album is completely different. Are you going to play anything from the new album tonight?
I don't think so. No. Oh, yes. Maybe. One song. Maybe one song. Yes.
See?
Audible? You'll call it inaudible?
No, it's on the list. It's on the list. So.
Okay,
yeah.
and this, I understand this music is kind of dancey and happy. Reminds you of your childhood?
Yeah, there are definitely some dance songs on this album. There's some songs that have like a disco feel to them. There's a song that is very reminiscent of Cher in the early 2000s with auto-tune. But there's also like a swinging jazz trio song. There are ballads. There's a little bit of everything in there. But definitely some dance.
Is there a lute part in this stuff?
I don't think so. Is it?
No.
I'll
Could
see you
there
later.
be?
Could be.
Yes, there could.
There could be.
There should have been.
Surprise.
There should have been.
Yeah, there should have been.
Okay, I like that. Emmy, I learned about you that you have performed with James Taylor, Paul Simon, and Yo-Yo Ma. And if you're a serious professional session musician in New York, that would be expected, except you did all of them at once. You performed with all 3 of them at one time, is that correct? Tell me about that.
It was a very unique experience. It was for the 10th anniversary of the 9/11 memorial, and it was at the site in New York City. And while I was fortunate enough to share the stage with those incredible musicians who have been such an influence on me, that day wasn't about that, and was one of the most beautiful musical experiences I've had, because it was really about connecting with the people who were there mourning. And there's nothing greater than being a musician in service of others who need the music for whatever they're going through. So it was a real honor to be part of that and to share the stage with them.
Dušan, how did you get into ancient instruments?
I get asked this a while, and I'm not really sure. I have different memories. When I was growing up, my dad had this tape of this electric guitarist from a progressive band from the Netherlands. I forget the name of the band, but the guy was called Jan Akkerman, and he was playing a Dowland song on the lute, and I must have been 8 years old or something. And I was so struck by it, but I had no reference of what it was. I was just enchanted. Then I remember, when the Sting records came out, and he did his DVD of Songs of the Labyrinth, I think it was called. That also marked me. But then again, I grew up in Peru. We had very little access to musical instruments or musical education, actually. And then finally, many years later in college, I started doing classical guitar, and I don't know if it's because of what I loved listening as a child, but everything I wanted to play was Baroque or Renaissance, and I didn't care about anything else, and I wanted to make it work on the classical guitar. And so it was in college that my curiosity got the best of me, and I was like, I need to find out what this is, and I made the switch immediately. So, yeah.
We're running close to time, so I want to get in one more question. First piece of music you fell in love with, Cécile.
What? First piece of music I ever fell in love with?
You fell in love with first piece of music.
Oh, wait, hold on. I'm looking for it in your eyes.
I don't know the answer.
Oh my God, that is a good question. You know,
If I were to ask it a different way, I would say, what was the piece of music that made you want to do music?
oh, that's even worse. Okay, I'll give two answers. First answer, probably Sarah Vaughan singing Misty, because my mom used to play that at home a lot. And then the second answer, it just came to me when you asked me. It's probably not true, but the first CD I bought, which was the soundtrack to Tarzan, Phil Collins. Yeah. And I was rocking that in the room, in the bedroom. But I think Sarah Vaughan, of course, Sarah Vaughan.
Dušan, first piece of music you fell in love with?
I thought that was a question for her. I didn't think I was blanking out. I don't know. I had time.
What?
I
Emmy, and then you go.
Yeah, no, I mean, I have really strong it's hard to point it down because I think people who love music just, there's so many. But my grandma had this LP for Tchaikovsky's first violin concerto, and I would just, how kids obsess and just play it, and then I would go and like flip the record and this big. And that is my strongest musical memory. Whether that was my favorite or not, I still think of that. I must have been like 3-4 years old, yeah.
Miss Emmy?
I mean, the first thing I thought of was Old MacDonald, but I was obsessed with that song. There's cassette tapes of me singing that, for days. But I think I was obsessed with the movie Labyrinth and the soundtrack, David Bowie's soundtrack for that movie, and Mike Oldfield's Tubular Bells. That was like, I could listen to that on repeat, and only many years later did I find out it was used in The Shining, and people thought I was a terrifying little child as a result. But yeah, I loved it.
Okay.
What's yours?
Yeah.
I'm ashamed to say the first record I ever bought was a 45 RPM of Buddy Knox singing Party Doll.
That's nice.
Late 60s.
That's good.
So
shame.
Elvis Presley, and then of course the Beatles wrecked my life forever. So I was redeemed. I think we have to leave it there. I can't wait for the performance tonight. Thank you guys so much. It was wonderful
Thank
talking to you.
you.
Emmy Ferguson, Dušan, Balarin, Cécile, McLorin, Salvant. Thanks for coming. Wow, where'd you all guys come from? Thanks for being here.